Bruchim haboim. Welcome everyone. We're about to begin Be'ezras Hashem together on Daf Mem Gimel Amud Aleph, starting with Mem Beis Amud Beis, 11 lines from the bottom. Our Mishnah began by saying that if a person was taken out of his tchum on Shabbos by a Gentile against his will, so he only has Daled Amos. However, if he's taken into a place that has a surrounding mechitzas, then we have a machlekes. According to one opinion, the opinion of Rabbi Gamliel and Rabbi Eliezer ben Azariah, then he can travel within the entire area that is enclosed. However, Rabbi Akiva and Rabbi Yoshua are cholek, and they say no, he can only travel within Daled Amos of that area that is enclosed. Another case the Mishnah had brought is that when people are on a svina, a boat, and again the boat goes out of its dock, either it's taken by a captain who is a Gentile against the will of those who are on the boat, or maybe it is blown outside by the winds. So again, the same machlokes exists. Here again, the shita of Rabbi Gamliel and Rabbi Eliezer ben Azariah is that a person can go ahead and travel within the entire area of the boat, whereas Rabbi Akiva and Rabbi Yoshua say, "Rotzu lahachmir al atzmon." Those who are on the boat, they desire to be machmir on themselves, and therefore they can only then travel because of their chumrah daled amos. Says the Gemara, what is the halacha in these cases? Omar Rav, hilchas Rabbi Gamliel bedir v'sahar v'sfina. Rav says the halacha is like Rabbi Gamliel in regards to both scenarios. The scenario where one was taken out of his tchum and put into a corral, an enclosed area, as well as the scenario where those who are on the boat, in both the halacha is like Rabbi Gamliel, you can travel within Daled Amos. That's how Rav learns. Shmuel Omar, Hilchas Rabbi Gamliel b'sfina, aval bedir v'sahar loy. Shmuel says that it depends. In the scenario of the svina, then the halacha is like Rabbi Gamliel. Then you can travel within that ship wherever you would like within those walls of the ship. Whereas when a person was taken and put it inside of a corral, then he's limited to Daled Amos. Ask the Gemara, Dekuli alma mias halach Rabbi Gamliel b'sfina, my taima. In regards to the case of svina, why is there no machlokes in Rav and Shmuel? There, everybody agrees that the halacha is that you can go ahead and travel within that svina, no matter how much it is going to be, even beyond Daled Amos. Omar Rabbi explains, Hoyo v'shovas be'aver mechitzas mi'b'od yom. The reason is because since he began in that svina on the onset of Shabbos, where there was walls surrounding him, thereby he has the entire area to travel within himself, within that walls, and therefore that's why it's permissible in halacha like Rabbi Gamliel. Rabbi Zeir Omar Hoyel v'svina notalta mitchila arba umanachtoi besoif arba. Rabbi Zeir has a different reason why the halacha like Rabbi Gamliel in the svina. Here he says because the svina is such that it's constantly moving, and since it's moving, a person never really had Daled Amos. So therefore there's no problem of then considered to be outside of his Daled Amos, because everywhere the boat is going is a new Daled Amos. Ask the Gemara, my beinayhu, what is the difference between the opinion of Rabbi Zeira and that which Rabbi said? Ika beinayhu shenifchesu doifnei svina. If the doifnei of the svina, the walls of the svina, instead of them being asara tvochim, which is the required minimum height of a wall, but it becomes less than asara tvochim, then it's no longer a valid wall. So therefore, according to Rabbah, that says when the beginning of the onset of Shabbos, you're within the walls of the boat, then you don't have the svara being within all the walls of the boat because you don't have proper walls. But still, according to Rabbi Zeira, you would still be able to then travel because here you never acquired Daled Amos. Inami bekoifes misvin l'svina. Alternatively, a difference between these two opinions would be if a person would jump from one boat to another boat. Again, according to Rabbah, since you were required to then be within walls on the onset of Shabbos, you weren't within walls in the onset of Shabbos, you went to another boat. So therefore, then you would not be able to then travel beyond Daled Amos. But according to Rabbi Zera, since you never were koine, you never had a kavius of Daled Amos, since the boat is constantly moving, therefore you could go ahead and travel beyond Daled Amos. Ask the Gemara, Rabbi Zera, my time Rabbi Zera, in addition to your svara, why don't you then accept Rabba's svara? If a person is on a boat on the onset of Shabbos and is surrounded by the walls of the boat, so why does he not have the entire area of the boat to travel in? It also should be considered to be one big Daled Amos. Omar loch, Rabbi Zera said back to you, mechitzois lehavriach mayim asuyos. The walls of a boat are there to then combat the water from coming inside of the boat, and therefore they don't have chashivus to be considered to be walls that will then give a person the area of all one big Daled Amos, that it's all considered to be his one big domain in the onset of Shabbos. Alternatively, now we ask Rabbah, why don't you accept the svara of Rabbi Zera also? However, Rabbi Zera said that the boat is moving. When the boat is moving, therefore you don't have a kaviyas dika Daled Amos. So why don't you then accept that svara as well and say that's the reason why a person could go ahead and travel beyond Daled Amos within the boat? Answers Rabbah, because mahaleches kuliyamo lepligi ki pligi kishomda and hochanami. If it was traveling, the boat was traveling, everybody would agree that you don't have Daled Amos. You can go ahead and travel beyond Daled Amos on that boat. Even Rabbi Akiva and Rabbi Yeshua would agree to that. Their machlokes with Rabbi Gamliel, Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, is in a situation when it's oimedes, the boat is stationary. Omar Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak masnisin nami deika the mahaleches lo pligi. You can also medayik this from our Mishnah that we're talking about. They're arguing when it's moving, but that it's stationary, because when it's moving, nobody's arguing. Mimai, from the fact that it says midiktani maise shebo miplandrosin. The hifliga sfinosim b'yam. There it says it leaves from this place called Plandrosin, and it goes into the yam. It leaves the port. Rabbi Gamliel, Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, holchu es kulo. Rabbi Yeshua, Rabbi Akiva lo izozu me'arba amos sherotzu lahachmir al atzmon. They wanted to be machmir on themselves. If you want to say that b'mahaleches lo pligi, then it's going to be very good. Why? Because hainu diktani rotsu dilma amda. Why would they want to be machmir on this? Because they were concerned that since it may stop, therefore they want to be machmir. Eliyam is pligi. You're going to say that they're arguing even in when it's running, when the boat is actually going. Hayrotsu lahachmir. Isirahu. It's not considered to be a chumrah. Mi'ikir hadina would be osir. So it must be that they are not arguing when it's mehaleches. Omar Rav Ashi, masnis nami deka. He can also medayik this from the Mishnah as well. Diktani svina dumia the deer v'sahar. The fact that it brings a case of svina after the case of deer and sahar implies the fact that it's doime. Ma deer v'sahar dekivi. Just like deer and sahar, the pen and the corral are stationary, so too we're talking about a boat that's stationary. That's where the machlokes is. Because if it was mahaleches, everybody would agree that it's not considered to be something that you can limit your Daled Amos. There, everybody would agree that you can go ahead and travel within the entire area of the boat. Omar le Rav Acha le Rav Ashi hilchas sekir Gamliel b'sfina. The halacha is like a Gamliel b'sfina. Ask the Gemara, we start off by saying that everybody agrees when it comes to Sfina. Hilchasa Michlal de Pligi. You're going to say there's an argument about this? In Vahatanya, Chananya Oimer. Chananya stated, Kol Oisoi Hayoim Yashu Vedonu Bidvar Halacha. All of that day while they were sitting in the Sfina, they were arguing about a certain that halacha. And Emesh Hechriya Achi Abo Halach Yeram Gamliel B'Sfina. And yesterday, my uncle, which is referring to Rabbi Yehoshua, he was machriya the halachas like Rabbi Gamliel in Sfina. The halacha Rabbi Akiva b'dir v'sar. But however, the halacha like Rabbi Akiva that you cannot walk beyond Daled Amos when one was put in a corral in an enclosed area on Shabbos. Says the Gemara weiter, Boy Rav Chananya, yesh tchumin lamala be'asara, or ein tchumin lamala me'asara. He has the following question. When it comes to tchumim, do we have the concept of the tchumim in something that's higher than 10 tvachim? We know when it comes to a reshus harabim, there's no such thing as above 10 tvachim. It's no longer reshus harabim. Do we say the same thing when it comes to tchumim? That the tchumim is not considered to be either you're not shoyves and beginning your makom in a place that's higher than 10 tvachim, or alternatively, when it comes to then going 2,000 amos, it's not going to be 2,000 amos if it's going to be higher than 10 tvachim. So the Gemara explains its question. Amud gavoya asara verochav arbo lo tiboylach. Da'ara samichtahi. We're not talking about a question if it's higher than 10 tvachim and it's wide 4 tvachim. That's not a question because then we consider it to be a thick ground. So certainly that would be going to be a problem or part of a tchum. What we're asking is, Ki tiboy loch be'amud gavoya asara ve'enoi rachav arbo. It's higher of a height of at least 10 tvachim, but it's not 4 tvachim wide. Do we again consider this to be part of tchum or not? Inami, or alternatively, dekaozil bekvitza. Alternatively, we're asking if a person then will jump. He will jump using a Shem Hashem, Rashi explains. That is going to then cause him to then go higher than Esar Tfachim and travel that way. Or Lishna Achrina, Besvina Mai. Here, what's practical in our case is Svina. When a person is traveling on a boat, which is generally higher than Asar Tfachim from the ground, is there issues of Tchum with a Svina? Omar Rav Hoshayo, Toshma. Let's bring a proof. Our Mishnah states that they went out on a boat, and there's an issue. Is it considered to be an issue of tchum or not? So what do we see from our Mishnah? That clearly, even beyond Asar Tzvachim, also has tchum. Because of this, that's why they were machmir on themselves. And they said, we cannot go ahead and travel on the boat beyond 4 amos. Eliamris ain't tchumin, amai ratzu. But if you're going to say there is no tchumim, so then why were they machmir on themselves? Mi'ikir adin, everybody can walk within with that the confines of that boat, wherever you want, even beyond Dal amos. Says the Gemara, no, you have no proof from our Mishnah that tchumim is higher than asar tfachim. Because our case of Sfina is where it's going on low, shallow waters, which is less than asar tfachim. Toshma, let's bring a proof from the following. The Mishnah states that one time they were on a boat and they didn't enter the port until nightfall, until the beginning of Shabbos. If you're going to say that there is tchumim above Asar Tfachim, then it's shapir, then it's good to say that there was a question, a concern, that maybe they were outside the tchum before the onset of Shabbos. Eliamris ain't tchumin, kiloi hayinu b'soichat tchum mai having. But if you're going to say that above Asar Tfachim there's no issue of Tchum, so what if they didn't enter the dock by nightfall, even though it was beyond the 2,000 amos? There's anyways no Tchum when it comes to higher than Asar Tfachim. Again, here we had Rava saying that here they're traveling in a shallow area, so you have no proof. Now the Gemara wants to prove the other way. Toshma, Hani Shev Shmaitza Di Itzarmin. There were 7 rulings of halacha that were stated in the morning on Shabbos in front of Rav Chizda in the city of Surah in Bavel. And in that Shabbos afternoon, was stated in front of Rava in the city of Pumbedisa. And these two cities, Surah and Pumbedisa, that were in Bavel, were beyond 2,000 amos, one from the other, beyond the Tchum. So Maya Amrinu, who was the one who stated this? Lav Eliyahu Amrinu, was it not Eliyahu Navi, and therefore he would never then go beyond 2,000 amos, which is not going to be the Fida Halacha of Shabbos. So therefore we can prove over here that Eliyahu, who hovered above Asar Tfachim, did not then have an issue of Tchum. Alma ein Tchumin l'mala me'asara. The Gemara rejects this and said, "Lo, we're not talking about the one who then taught the halachos and was the messenger, was Eliyahu Navi who kept the Shabbos. Rather, it was Dilma Yosef Shida Amrinhu. It was Yosef the shade. He, that demon, he is the one who doesn't keep Shabbos, who then passed the halacha on from one area to another area."